As the saying goes, with mastery over the primal, all paths converge. Countless teachings flow, the sage no longer wanders. Chansei went out for a meal. He left the neighborhood and arrived at the bustling street. He walked as usual to the familiar Sunji noodle stall. He told the boss, "I'm here to eat noodles." The boss busily greeted Chansei and said, "Please have a seat quickly." Chansei said, "It's still the same as before." A bowl of braised noodles. Qingyin suddenly saw Chansei not far away. Say to Zhao Xianyin, "Dad, it's Mr. Chan." Zhao Xianyin turned around to look. It has now been half a month. Mr. Chan has a rosy complexion. There is absolutely no sign of being harmed. Then he suddenly turned around. He grabbed little Qingyin and headed towards the noodle stall. Then he said to the boss, "Mr. Sun, 2 bowls of braised noodles." The father and son sat at the next table, watching Chansei drink tea. Zhao Xianyin coughed twice. Pretend to casually exclaim, "Huh? You must be Mr. Chan. I heard there's a new refined scholar in town. I have been wanting to visit." Little Qingyin blushed red with embarrassment. Daddy's acting is just a bit cringeworthy. Chansei clasped his hands in greeting. "I have long heard that Master Yin is very knowledgeable. I was wondering why they suddenly changed their minds. So they actually wanted to accidentally encounter me?" Chansei immediately spoke in praise of little Qingyin's knowledge and sophistication. He said he still remembers the kindness of the person who carried a load of water and invited them to sit at the same table. Zhao Xianyin couldn't ask for more. He exchanged seats with Qingyin, and the boss brought out steaming braised noodles. Chansei thanked the boss. Zhao Xianyin looked puzzled. After all, this era has a strict social hierarchy. Very few people are polite to service staff. So he also awkwardly said, "Thank you." Boss Sun was sweating profusely, feeling even more uncomfortable. Chansei thought to himself, Master Yin, as a scholar, may not look down on the boss, but still considers himself superior. But I thanked him. He also had to keep up, albeit unwillingly. The world has strict hierarchies. Being knowledgeable and rational also depends on who you are dealing with. Master should do better. His students may become the backbone of the country in the future. After finishing the noodles, Chansei shouted to pay the bill. Now Xianyin was busy saying that this meal was on him. Chansei didn't refuse either. Before leaving, he said a word to Master Yin. Vendors and laborers are the mirror of the nation. Those who teach should be valued for their virtue and achievements, serving as role models for others. Zhao Xianyin stood there dumbfounded for a long time without coming to his senses. It was not until little Qingyin asked a question that he came to his senses. He let out a sigh and said, "Let's go home. Tomorrow morning, we will visit Mr. Chan at Serenity Courtyard." The next morning, father and son of the Yin family arrived at the entrance of the courtyard. Zhao Xianyin felt that it used to be gloomy here, but now there is a natural and fresh feeling. He was just about to knock on the door. Chansei's voice had already arrived, "Come in." The courtyard gate is not locked. In the bustling streets, a chance encounter unfolds. A single word awakens those lost in their tomes. Just as the one word, but also the words of the gentleman yesterday. Chansei didn't care. "I don't know how the preparation is going." Master Yin humbly said it's just a kind gesture from everyone. Classes will begin in 2 days. Zhao Xianyin also thought of something and then asked Mr. Chan with a strange look. "You have a well in the yard. Why do you still have to fetch water from outside?" Chansei did not hide it and said that the well had been contaminated with something dirty, so it couldn't be used for drinking. Zhao Xianyin also realized something, subconsciously moved his body aside a bit. He stepped back a little from the well, and then saw a chess manual on the table. He then brought up the topic of Go, conversing with Chansei in the courtyard. The more they chatted, the more Zhao Xian felt the depth of Chan Sei's calculations to be unfathomable. Knows everything about astronomy and geography. Has unique and insightful views. Insights are truly unheard of. Although it seems to know everything. But in worldly matters, people often consult him. It's strange too. It wasn't until the afternoon that the father and son left. Chan Sei was satisfied, chatting with knowledgeable but not stuffy people, feeling a connection. Glancing at the flower wine on the stone table, Chan Sei lifted the lid and took a sniff. He directly used a small water control spell. The wine condensed into a stream and flew into his mouth. This spell could be considered basic. As night fell, two groups of martial artists were engaged in a fierce battle. Amidst the flips and jumps, someone shouted, "Hand over the sword and tent!" The man wearing a bamboo hat looked defiant and replied, "Impossible!" The opponent swiftly threw a hidden weapon, catching the bamboo-hatted man off guard, injuring his shoulder. He gathered his true chi, wildly swinging his sword, cutting off numerous branches. Seizing the opportunity, he fled forward with all his might, realizing that stealing the sword and tent was more treacherous than he had expected. The pursuers were close behind, shouting that the sword and tent was left behind by the sword fairy's lunatic before his death, containing his sword techniques and intentions. "How dare you steal?" On the other side, Lord Lushan roared loudly. He gained a new insight into his cultivation, and he might transform in a few years. Suddenly, he heard a rustling sound. Was someone approaching? The two groups of martial artists were still desperately chasing each other. The injured man gritted his teeth, took out a sword charm from his chest, stood on a huge rock, and shouted, "You are all fighting for this, right? If you push me too far, I'll just destroy this thing." The pursuers quickly stopped, and a standoff ensued. Just as the man in the straw hat was in a dilemma, a sudden gust of wind swept through, and the item in his hand flew out. Everyone was shocked. The pursuers leaped forward, while the man in the straw hat took the opportunity to escape. As the pursuers reached out to grab the charm, the strange wind suddenly caused it to rise high into the sky, eluding their grasp. The pursuers looked frustrated as they missed their chance. On the other side, Lord Lushan gently flicked open the letter with his fingernail. Good handwriting. It's a pity that despite the sharpness conveyed in the characters. Such good handwriting. A red fox was pressed under Lord Lushan's claws. He said, "I know you opened your wisdom long ago. Have you met the master at the Mountain God Temple?" The fox dared not offer any resistance and nodded slightly. The subtitle recognition failed. Saying that, it opened its mouth and spit out the scroll of sword and tent. There are my first strands on it. The gentleman should recognize it. But you must not disturb the gentleman's practice. The red fox could only respond weakly. Lord Lushan's face showed satisfaction. Go on. This is also your destiny. If you dare to lose the calligraphy scroll, I will skin you. Lord Lushan thought to himself. Giving calligraphy and paintings as gifts shouldn't be considered a common gesture, right? If the gentleman happens to like it very much, praise a few more words. Thinking about it makes me very happy. Thinking about this, he hummed a tune. He walked back with a happy stride. Chan Sei went out for a meal as usual. Arrived at a bustling market. Chan Sei suddenly heard a commotion in the street. It turned out to be that red fox. It was actually being torn apart by two dogs. Chan Sei frowned. Use martial arts skills and body techniques. Come to the front. At this moment, a big man is hitting a yellow dog with a stick. The yellow dog, in pain, releases the fox. The big man is happy that the fox is now his. But the dying fox immediately leaps up. Is this fox faking it? Seeing this, two yellow dogs pounced again. The little fox fell to the ground with a serious injury. Suddenly, a figure in a long green robe stood in front of the yellow dogs. The red fox was stunned on the spot. Immediately raised its front legs and kept bowing towards Chan Sei. The crowd was amazed and talked about who this person was. It seemed to be a friend of Master Yin. Chansei recognized the tiger fur of Lord Lushan. It seems that this fox is specifically here to find me? So he arched his hand and said to the big man, "Can I have this fox?" "I'll offer 100 won. Mr. Chan, if you want it, just take it. 100 won is 100 won." Chansei said a word of thanks. "Pick up the little fox and say to the 2 yellow dogs, 'How about you leave too?'" As a result, a few big yellow dogs hesitated for a moment, then turned and walked away. The onlookers were so shocked that they couldn't even speak. Chansei hurriedly said, "Let's disperse." Before everyone could react, he used his light skills to disappear at the corner of the alley. This injury is too severe. Chansei was pushing his spiritual energy into the fox while walking. He didn't care about anything else. He used light skill to hurry along the way, leaving a trail of afterimages. He quickly asked the doctor to come and take a look. The doctor said he had never treated animals before. Chansei urgently said that this is also a life. Please try your best to save it. The doctor didn't say a word. He took Chansei inside to treat him. As the saying goes, the red fox bears gifts but faces calamity. Yet fate spares its life, turning turmoil to tranquility. The little fox has received treatment and is now out of danger. In addition, Chansei uses spiritual energy to recuperate it. It is a blessing in disguise. Its cultivation has greatly advanced. The ways of fate in this world are indeed so marvelous. Fortune and misfortune are intertwined. Chansei opened the calligraphy scroll given by Lord Lushan. She exclaimed, "Impressive handwriting! But wait, this can't be considered as characters, but rather a dynamic sword technique. Even though there is no aura on this calligraphy scroll, not written by a cultivator, yet the recorded sword technique has unexpectedly formed a sword intent. Contains supreme wisdom and will. It is unexpected that mundane sword techniques could be refined to such a level. The warrior who wrote this calligraphy must be a remarkable talent. I wonder if they are still around." Chansei waved a hand, picked up the branch under his feet, and held it in his hand. There were claims in the past life about calligraphy being like sword techniques. Finally got to witness it. Using a small branch as a sword, Chansei wielded it gracefully. Each move and stance of the drifting dragon combines to demonstrate its sharpness in full display. The wind in the courtyard turns freely. Jujube flowers swirl around in response to the sword's guidance. The red fox, who was eating, was stunned. He saw Chansei wave his sleeve and swing the sword. The intent of the sword condensed the jujube flowers into a green dragon, bursting out of the courtyard directly and eventually dispersing. Passers-by caught a whiff of the fragrance and looked up, only to see a shower of flowers carried by the gentle breeze. Chansei calmed his breath and sheathed his sword. "Since I don't know the source of the calligraphy model, the move you just made is called Drifting Dragon, and the little fox settled in the courtyard. Chansei feeds it with fresh fish and meat every day. Occasionally, Chansei also uses spiritual energy to treat it. Qingyin also often visits the courtyard with her father. She gets along very well with the little fox." A week later, the red fox jumped onto the roof and looked towards the direction of the mountains. Chansei also appeared on the roof. Maybe they want to go back? "Since your injury is fully healed, do you feel restricted here? Then I'll send you back home tomorrow." The next day, Chansei called little Qingyin to accompany him in sending Hu back to the mountain. Arriving at the foot of the mountain, Chansei said, "Feel free to play around for a while." So little Qingyin and Red Fox let loose completely, playing and frolicking by the river, splashing water at each other. A small fish darted out of the water. Little Qingyin kept missing it. Unexpectedly, the little fox pounced directly and took a bite. It looked pleased at the person, and the sun was about to set. The two exhausted players, and the fox sat by the river, extremely happy. Finally, they arrived at the mountain top. Chansei said, "Let's stop here. Little fox, we are destined to meet again." Little Chingin also said goodbye loudly. "Don't forget about me." The little fox whimpered twice, eyes filled with reluctance. Chansei said, "Let's go!" They pulled little Chingin and turned to leave. They walked about a dozen steps. Chansei suddenly had a feeling in her heart. She turned around and looked at the motionless little fox. "Since we have met, I will give you another gift. Embarking on the path of cultivation. Anything may be lacking, except for a name." Chansei looked at the clouds in the sky. "From now on, you will be called Yunhu." The fox's eyes lit up and kept bowing to Chansei. Little Chingin was speechless. "Is the rumor true?" Chansei brought Chingin back. Turning around, there was a feeling of electricity in the sleeves of his arm. A virtual image of a chess piece flashed between his fingers. As the saying goes, in the face of dire straits, I refuse to let go. From despair to hope, a prosperous path shall grow. Chansei carried the tired little Chingin back. Safety handed over to Zhao Xianyin. At this moment, the county magistrate and the head of the Wei family just left. Seeing Chansei and Zhao Xianyin introducing to County Magistrate Wu Wei. "This person is a strange individual. It is said that he can make a fox kneel down and beg for help, and make vicious dogs retreat on their own." Head of the Wei family looked astonished. This person is definitely extraordinary. Then he prepared to leave in a carriage. Chansei suddenly felt a connection in his heart. That person's chest had a ray of light. At this moment, Chansei was very eager to learn more about cultivation. By nightfall, he changed into a black knight's suit. He thought that the fat man showed a spiritual light on his body, which should be related to cultivation. Should he go confirm it in person? Then he used lightness skill to leap away, and soon disappeared. Before long, he saw the carriage from afar. Chansei thought it's good it didn't go far. Should I directly go up and communicate in a friendly manner? Suddenly, he saw several dark figures rushing towards the carriage. Several men with knives charged over. The carriage was then torn apart. The guard shouted loudly and rode up. The leader of the bandits raised his hand and threw 3 hidden weapons. The guards failed to dodge and were hit by 2 of them. Other guards quickly caught up. Head of the Wei family urged them to run quickly. The next moment, the coachman was knocked over. A large knife was placed on his neck. "I heard your family inherited a piece of blue jade. Hand it over." Head of the Wei family hurriedly said, "Hero! The jade pendant in my family is just ordinary. There is nothing special about it." The big man threatened, "You better think carefully before you answer." Head of the Wei family hastily said, "Are you after money or jewelry? I can give you both." The sinister big man smirked. "Only a child makes choices. I want it all." Head of the Wei family, in a panic, claimed that the blue jade was not on him. The big man ominously asked, "So you want to die?" "It's impossible to hide it now." Head of the Wei family reluctantly took out the blue jade. "That's it." Chansei saw it here. It was also time to make a move. The big man excitedly reached out to take the jade pendant. Little did Chansei know, Wu Wei suddenly launched an attack. 3 silver needles shot out, piercing the chest of the big man. With a swift movement, Wu Wei quickly moved forward and ruthlessly struck the big man with a palm. The big man was sent flying 2 zhan away before crashing to the ground. At this moment, Wu Wei abandoned his previous timidity and charged forward amid the stunned onlookers. Only 2 loud bangs were heard. 2 more people were flung out. They crashed into a big tree. Chansei thought, "Is this person pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger?" The leader, a big man, struggled to sit up. "You actually know martial arts." Wu Wei looked proud. "I just like to see you with that expression." Then he proceeded to interrogate the big man. Where did you get the information about his family's ancestral jade pendant? Suddenly, a gust of wind blew through. Wu Weiwei quickly dodged. A masked figure in black clothing appeared. Seems like a formidable opponent to deal with. The masked man wasted no time. He pointed and swiftly approached. The speed was too fast. Wu Weiwei couldn't dodge in time and got injured in an instant. Before he could react, another finger from the opponent was already in front of his face. It's over. My life is about to end. As the saying goes, in the treacherous world of Jianghu, where cunning schemes abound, when skill falls short, disaster soon will come around. In the twinkling of an eye, Chan Se suddenly appeared and blocked the attack. In a flash, Chan Se launched more than a dozen moves against the opponent. The masked man used both hands to barely parry the attacks. In just a few breaths' time, both arms were already numb. The protective true energy was all dispersed. In the moment he was distracted, Chan Se appeared behind him like a ghost and directly dislocated his left arm. Having witnessed the dangers of the Jianghu world, as a precaution for safety, Chan Se dislocated the other arm of the masked individual. Then he calmly went back. The masked man had a look of fear on his face. Iron torture technique? Sir. Who is the master from the public gate? Chan Se thought to herself. Sure enough. Using the iron torture technique made others think I am an expert in the court. I won't be exposed. The man in black realized he couldn't win in a fight and tried to bribe Chan Se with money. Chan Se remained silent. He directly revealed his trump card. The opportunity to become immortal. Do you want it? Chan Se activated his spiritual energy. Changing the voice he speaks in, saying these nonsense words to deceive me? The masked man expressed that the path of immortals is elusive, but there are traces to follow. The jade pendant in Wu Weiwei's hand has an extraordinary origin. Chan Se turned around and asked the head of the Wei family why they wanted to steal your jade. At this point, Wu Weiwei dared not hide the truth and said that his ancestors had once saved an immortal crane. Later, the immortal crane presented this jade pendant as a token of gratitude. It has been passed down through generations to the present day. However, it's just a legend. But the idea of becoming an immortal is too elusive. Even Zwa Lunatic, who is known as the Sword Fairy, ended his life in resentment. Chan Se remained silent. The man in black quickly replied, There are many magical things in this world. He was even 5 years ago, at the Chunmu River. He encountered a black-backed giant turtle. This giant turtle can speak, and even asked him for good wine. Did he get any information out of it? Keep going. The giant turtle told me about the immortal destiny. One is the sword intent scroll hidden in Dingyuan Manor. The other is the ancestral blue jade of the Wei family. The third is located thousands of miles away in Tongzhou. As long as you spare me, I will tell you how to seek the immortal destiny. The head of the Wei family panicked and quickly said, My lord, please do not believe his words. I am willing to present the jade pendant to you. Please do not spare him. He thought, If I don't give it now, my life will be in danger. Chan Se thought, Given for free? It's truly tempting. This masked man exuded a strong sense of hostility, and is definitely not a good person. Although this Wu Weiwei is not a good person either. But if we can force immortal destiny out, and then silence them. It is not my intention. Do we have to use any means necessary in cultivation? Besides, I already have the sword intent attached. So he took over the blue jade head of the Wei family. This is a treasure that can lead one to the path of immortality. Are you genuinely repaying me? Or are you afraid I will turn against you? Wu Weiwei could only go against his own heart and say, The jade pendant is sincerely given to you by me, sir. How can a celestial being truly enjoy wealth and luxury freely? Chan Se burst into laughter upon hearing this. The few people present were all stunned. He casually tossed the jade pendant back to the head of the Wei family. He said, I'm just passing by. Only to see him turn around. Knock out the two bandits. Please ask the head of the Wei family to hand over the criminals to the officials. Shortly after, a few swift figures disappeared without a trace. Only the head of the Wei family remained standing blankly in place, thinking to himself, "It seems like all of you have fallen into my hands." He. As the saying goes, in the presence of destiny, 100 forms take flight, yet my heart stays true, finding peace in the quiet light. Chansei quickly returned home, opened the pair of sword intent couplets, and examined them carefully. I've looked at this couplet countless times in my heart. Do you need to burn it with fire or soak it in water? With the movement of the fingers. Ordinary rice paper can't stand the fuss. With my eyesight, ordinary text is completely illegible. The profound sword intent in the sword intent calligraphy. I can see it clearly. He reached out and gestured with sword moves. Where is the mystery hidden? Suddenly, Chansei discovered. It turns out to be a map. Sure, if it weren't for my exceptional luck, this secret might never have been discovered by anyone. Indeed, Zui is a lunatic. I do not know about the Qingyin long sword that the masked person took. What kind of opportunities might arise? I am really looking forward to it. The next day, head of the Wei family returned to the city and inquired about Chansei's whereabouts. Then he arrived at the door. At this time, Chansei was playing chess with Zhao Xianyin. Chansei said that there is a visitor at the door. At the same time, the sound of knocking on the door is heard. Little Xianyin ran to open the door. Head of the Wei family entered the courtyard carrying things. Explained the purpose to Chansei. I heard about the fox visiting Chansei. He also has such problems in his heart. He wants to seek help. Little Xianyin said Mr. Chan is amazing. He has seen a little fox kowtow with his own eyes. Head of the Wei family feels more at ease. Mr. Chan, are there really monsters and spirits in this world? Is there truly a path to immortality? Chansei remained calm. Yes. Zhao Xianyin was stunned. Wu Weiwei took out the heirloom jade pendant. He wanted Chansei to have a look. What secrets did it hold? I didn't look closely last night. Today it's delivered to my door. What a coincidence. Chansei slowly infused a trace of spiritual energy into the blue jade. Only a faint light can be seen shining through. The light is clear enough for Zhao Xianyin and others to see. Wu Weiwei even held his breath, only to see the jade pendant showing for small words glowing with a spiritual light. Jade embraced sacred realm. Originally, was it jade holding mountain? Wu Weiwei was even more excited. Our Wei family's ancestral treasure is actually real. Opportunities on the path of immortality. Chansei thought there must be a way to it. There is a weak magnetic force inside. It seems that even if Wu Weiwei snatches the blue jade, it will be of no use. Then return the blue jade to the head of the Wei family. Wu Weiwei bowed respectfully. Mr. Chan did not know how to seek immortal destiny. Chansei thought to himself that he also wanted to know. I heard about this jade-holding mountain from the city god. So he casually said, I heard it's in northern Jizhou. Let's end the conversation here. Mr. Wei, take care of yourself. That's enough. Wu Weiwei bowed with clasped hands in salute. Bring out something. Say it's a token of the Wei family. It will be useful in the future. The Wei family will definitely spare no effort. Then get up and take your leave. Chansei opened the pastries sent by the head of the Wei family and shared them with everyone. Then he stood up and said to Zhao Xianyin, I am preparing to go on a trip. Zhao Xianyin looked surprised. When does Mr. Chan plan to leave? Chansei said if it's fast, tomorrow. If it's slow, maybe in 3 days. Father and son of the Yin family looked reluctant to part ways. Zhao Xianyin said, Please let us know before you leave, sir. We will see you off. Chansei bows in gratitude, looking up at the jujube tree. It seems we won't be able to eat the jujubes this year. When the time comes, please pick them and distribute them to the neighbors. The next morning, many of the jujube tree's leaves show signs of yellowing, but the branches are already full of abundant fruit. As the saying goes, suddenly, as if autumn winds arrive overnight, the garden bears ripe fruits for all to delight. Chansei is overjoyed. He thanked the jujube tree. I don't know how long it will take to go out this time. Still, write a letter to Family Yin. Praise Master Yin's unparalleled virtue in the letter, worthy of the title of Master. And he left without a word, looking forward to Master Yin becoming a great Confucian in the future, teaching and enlightening the people of the world. After reading Chansei's letter, Zhao Xian Yin only felt a slight numbness on his scalp. There is unlimited ambition brewing in the heart. At the same time, the illusion of a chess piece flashed and disappeared in Chansei's hand. Chansei raised her hand in confusion, wondering if it was Master Yin. Did the letter I wrote have an impact on him? So he shouted loudly, "Goodbye, my friend." On the other side, father and son of the Yin family went to help Chansei clean the yard. Then they gazed dumbfounded at the fruitful jujube tree above. Then Zhao Xian Yin followed Chansei's instructions. Distribute the dates to the neighbors. Mr. Sun at the noodle stand looks confused. Isn't it too early for this? Are the dates ripe already? One bite. This date is too delicious. But half a day's time. The whole county knows that Mr. Chan's date tree ripened early, and the news has been shared with everyone. And at this moment, Chansei is on his way to Chunhui Manor. He took out the map that City God gave him before leaving. He thought to himself that it may take a while to get there. He might as well go to Chunmu River first to see if he can find that giant turtle. So he used his lightness skill and sped up. He quickly overtook a carriage in front of him. At night, Chansei passed by a village. An old man asked, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Chansei said he was just passing through. The old man noticed Chansei's gray-white eyes and asked, "Sir, what's wrong with your eyes?" Chansei explained that his eyes were not in good condition and night travel was inconvenient. He asked if he could stay for the night. The old man came closer for a look and noticed that the man's pupils were pale. "There is a shadow under your feet too. Then come with us." After opening the door, the old man stepped forward and supported Chansei, saying, "Let me help you inside." Chansei understood instantly. Is he checking if I have a temperature? Soon, two burly men barricaded the entrance. Why does the atmosphere feel odd? He was then led into a room. You will have to make do here tonight, the old man said as he poured a cup of tea. Just made a fool of you. These days, there are too many strange things happening. One must be careful. Chansei smiled and said it was no problem. But unexpectedly, the old man suddenly asked, "Are you a ghost?" Chansei spit out a mouthful of tea directly. "Old man, don't joke like that." The elderly person offered an apology, saying there was trouble with a beautiful serpent here. Beautiful serpent, everyone is trying to avoid going out as much as possible now. Chansei wondered, "Beautiful serpent? Could it be a monster?" The old man continued to explain. "It is said to be a giant snake with a human head and serpent body. It likes to lure young men over and eat them." Chansei quickly said, "Old man, don't scare me. I think anyone who can talk like this must have some skills. Ordinary people can't defend against it at all." The old man solemnly asserted, "This has caused a commotion in Suiyuan County. Why would I deceive you?" Chansei thought to himself, "Oh no, he's too reckless with his lightness skill while traveling. He underestimated his own speed and ran through two counties directly. There's no navigation here. Reckless driving causes trouble." As the saying goes, when venturing forth, heed this wise decree. Racing through life bears risks. Be cautious and free. In the late night, suddenly intense barking came from outside. Chansei thought, Dogs have sharp eyesight. Is there really a monster here? By the river outside the village, a long black shadow streaked across the ground. It raised its body and gazed towards the village, revealing its sturdy body and white scales on the belly. The first crow of a rooster sounded, which was around 3 o'clock in the early morning. A big man got up and walked out the door. He walked straight towards the riverbank to relieve himself. At the same time, he put on his clothes. He performed a small fire control technique, reached out his hand, and flicked his sleeve. The flame on the oil lamp was extinguished and trapped inside the sleeve. I'd like to see what the heck it is. The big guy finished his business. Suddenly, he heard a splash coming from the river. Maybe it's fish building a nest? Then a woman's voice immediately followed. Oh, it's so dirty! The big guy followed the sound to look. A naked woman was hiding on the shore. The big man quickly covered his eyes with his hands. Miss, please don't be offended. I didn't know you were bathing here. Although he said this, his heart was already stirred. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and leave. I'm getting up. The big man sneakily took a glance, and I will leave right away. Still sneakily turning back to steal a glance. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. All the dogs in the village gathered around and barked loudly towards the riverbank. With just a sound of awe, the big man turned around nervously and excitedly. What's wrong with you, miss? The woman said. I was just getting ashore when I was startled by a dog and fell. I twisted my foot. Young master, could you help me up? Is this appropriate? The big man said so with his mouth. The body, however, was very honest. He reached out and grabbed the woman's hand. Suddenly, a huge force came. The big man was pulled into the water completely. But he still looked pleasantly surprised. And he was very close to the woman in the water. Chansei speeds along the roofs of the village in the wind. Rushing in the direction where the dog barking was most intense, he arrived at the river. From afar, he saw a large snake coiled around a person. Near the snake's head was the shadow of a woman. A man was staring at the snake's head with a look of fascination. He slowly fed Chansei into the wide open mouth of the snake. Chansei activated the boiling spiritual energy in her body. With a loud roar, she shouted, Evil creature! How dare you harm people? This roar instantly had a majestic feeling of thunder roaring. Not only was the sound of waves in the river rolling. The villagers who rushed over upon hearing the sound were all scared and covered their ears. The big snake in the river also shivered fiercely. A surge of demonic energy rose from its body, but it was not strong.